Hello you guys, welcome back to another deck video. Today we're going to be looking at Stage 1 Rush. Now you may be curious, hey, what is Stage 1 Rush? Well, it's a whole bunch of Stage 1 Pokemon that are designed to either hit for weakness or just hit like a Mack truck. There's a whole bunch of them to go over, and there's reasons you play every one of them. But basically, you try to hit for like I said, weakness is going to be your main opener, and then late game you're just going to try to one-shot with a whole bunch of cool stuff. So, first things first, you can't talk about weakness without talking about both Jolteon and Vaporeon, and oh, psych, we don't play the Flareon. We actually play that Flareon there for your late game insurance and fire typing, as well as Leafeon for grass coverage. So it's kind of evolutions, but more just the good ones. And then we're actually only playing 2 EVs in Stage 1 Rush, because generally you're going to be attacking with these guys. You're only going to get one of these out per game, probably. You don't have much that's weak to both lightning and water. So at most you're going to get one of these out. You probably won't get any out. And if you don't, you're left with a 2-2 line. Makes sense. If you, however, need more than that, these can be also used for Vengeance. It's really easy to get this one back out, especially with Chain Reaction. Using a 2-4 line just kind of makes sense because this isn't the focus. This is only used in certain situations. There's decks that can get around this. So really this is your only attacker in the line. These are all just supplemental type coverage ones. So really that's all you're going to need right there for your EV lines. That's why it might look weird, but it does a thing. I would love to talk more about those sort of things, but there's tons of 1-1 lines we got to get to. Speaking of Flareon, a good partner for Flareon is going to be the Vespiquen. It does virtually the same thing, 20 plus 10 for each in the discard, 20 plus 10 for each in the discard. The only difference is that this is level ball searchable and has free retreat. This is blacksmithable and has 2 retreat. So that's about it there. You're going to use these for your late game insurance, and because you play a whole bunch of Pokemon, it just kind of makes sense. Going along with those, we also play both of the Retire and the Farewell Letter Unknown to kind of supplement your damage. Whenever you see these are not only draw 1 card, but they are plus 10 damage for your late game. So that's why I play both of those. Moving along, one of the best stage ones in the game right now is going to be this Clefable line. Metronome, being able to copy a powerful attack on your opponent's side of the field, is really, really good. Plus the ability to get it out turn 1 because of Moonstone, and the fact that it's a non-EX to copy whatever attack they're swinging with for 1 energy. Really, really good card. So it makes sense to play Clefable as a 1-1, even though it is a colorless type. You're not hitting for weakness. Speaking of colorless type, the other colorless type we're playing is this Vibrava. Now this Vibrava, actually, we didn't even realize that this was a thing until we started making a whole bunch of other lists. And what this does, it's called Energy Typhoon, does 20 damage for every energy in your opponent's discard pile, and then they get shuffled in. So late game, if they have 5 or 6, you're doing 1 energy for 100, 120. And the fact that Gather Sand, if Trampish is in the active, you can take a fighting energy from your discard pile and attach it to himself. So basically, all you need is Broken Time Space in these 2 cards. You push Trapinch up there, it gets an energy on it, you evolve it for Vibrava, and you swing. It's a really, really great surprise attacker, and if they're not prepared for it, it can really, really do some damage. So, Vibrava, keep that one in mind. Type coverage now. We already have Grass in the form of Leafeon, Flareon for Fire, Vaporeon for Water. We have a Lightning attacker. All we need left is a Fighting, a Psychic, and a Dark. We don't need Metal because not a lot of stuff's weak to Metal. We don't need Dragon because not a lot's weak to Dragon. We don't need Fairy, not a lot's weak to Fairy. And we already have Colorless just in case. So we still need Psychic, Fighting, and Dark. The Psychic types that we're going to use, there's actually 2 of them. We're going to be using this Krogunk and Toxicroak. Toxicroak has this attack Revenge. It does 20 plus 70 if you had a Pokemon knocked out last turn. So if they're weak to Psychic, it's going to be 90 if you got knocked out. Doubled is 180. You're one-shotting any Psychic weak thing as long as you got knocked out. But what if you didn't get knocked out? That's where Mewtwo comes in. Mewtwo does 20 plus 20 for each energy attached to them, and that can be ramped up pretty quickly with stuff like Muscle Bane and Iris and that sort of thing. So you're always going to be able to hit for weakness here. And plus Mewtwo is a non-EX basic for 130. Really, really good kind of tanky card. So those are your 2 Psychics. Moving on to your Dark Pokemon. No better Dark Stage 1 in the game than Zoroark right now. Mind Jack, even though it's an EX, Mind Jack's going to one-shot almost anything out there. Plus, having the stand and retreat ability to give your deck a little extra fluidity because you run so many of these 1/1 stage types is really good. And then your fighting type, last but not least, the best card in the deck, arguably the best card in the deck, Crabominable. This card has proven its worth, and it is a monster. There's going to be more and more decks built around this guy. What it does is it does 80 for 1 energy and does 10 to yourself. So if you're not damaged, it's 80 for 1 energy. If you are damaged, as long as you don't have 70 or more damage on you, you're not going to knock yourself out during your turn. Plus, you can play stuff like Max Potion and then just attach to get around this effect on a non-EX 140 HP Pokemon, just smacking people in the face. This card's awesome. Its second attack isn't really relative, but it does get used from time to time. It's 80, flip 2 coins, 40 for each heads for 3 energies. Kind of a hefty cost, so that's why you're going to use that first Gutsy Hammer. And again, non-EX. So that is a whole boatload of Pokemon. Like I said, the reason you do that is to hit all of your type coverage, and the fact that Flareon and Vespiquen are going to just go ham late game is pretty awesome. Continuing with more Pokemon, you get your standard 10 here. You're going to play your 1/1 Claydol, your 2/2 Porygon line, and one of each of the best 1-ups in the game. You're going to play all these 10. They're in almost every deck. There's no reason not to play these. Double Supporter, extra draw power, the best starters in the game. This is awesome to get set up and to give your deck all that extra consistency. So we play a lot of Pokemon. 31 Pokemon is a whole bunch, more than almost any other deck. At more than any of the 64 decks we have built, this has the most Pokemon in it at 31. So a lot of this extra stuff is not going to be too much fluff because it is all very standard. Once you put all of the standard supporters and items in here, you don't have a lot of extra room to play with. So bear that in mind. But we do have AZ, Lysander, Rosies, Hex, Rockets, and Juniper. Karina, Copycat, Bebes, Wally, Colress, and N. Oaks, Guzma, Sycamore, Mario's Request, Teammates, Mallow, and then Collector and Trump card down there. And these other two that we have aren't necessarily rare, but they're not common either. You have Sage's Training to get extra stuff into the discard pile that do more damage with Flareon and Vespiquen, and then Iris because sometimes you need a little extra damage boost. And like I said, this deck has, or like I've said in the past, Iris is finding itself into more and more decks, but this deck, especially since you're hitting for weakness and you're looking for those juicy one-shots towards the late game, Iris is going to help you out big time with that. Moving on to your items section. Again, not a lot of fluff here because we need room for all those Pokemon. Looking at Level Ball, Oak, Super Rod, Evo Soda, P-Com, Junk Arm, Escape Rope, Acrobike, Ultra Ball, Item Finder, Windstorm, Invention, Lux Ball, Versus Seeker, Computer Search, Stretcher, Bill, Wrath, Swoop Teleporter, Scoop Up, Pal Pad. These other two, again, just like the other two supporters, aren't uncommon but not common either. You have Battle Compressor and Secret Mission. Both serve the same purpose of trying to get extra Pokemon in the discard pile for Revenge and Vengeance. Vengeance? That's what they're called? I think so. For the Flareon and the Vespiquen's attack. That's why you play both of those, and that does it for items. A lot of standard-looking items. You realize that notice we don't play Max Potion for the Crabominable. You can if you'd like, but trust me, it's not needed. You can play stuff like AZ, or just not attack and attack for something else to get around the Crabominable negative effect. You can also play Protection Cube if you really want to. Two stadiums. You have Skyfield in here because there's a lot of Stage 1 Pokemon and bench space can get iffy. The other thing you can do with Skyfield is that you can play down Skyfield, set up your bench to 8, and then Windstorm it away to get extra Pokemon to the discard pile for Vengeance. You could argue Parallel City as well for that same effect, but you still need your 5 bench spaces for your support Pokemon and your main attackers. So that's why it's Skyfield to go up and then discard rather than Parallel City to limit, if that makes sense. Your opponent can also really punish you with a Parallel City on your own. And then Broken Time Space. Every single deck that plays Evolutions needs to play Broken Time Space. Items you're looking at here, your 4 main ones. these two are on every single deck. You have an extra damage modifier here because your damage is always in a state of flux with a lot of your attackers. Almost every attacker. Actually, let's see. The only ones that aren't, that's guaranteed the same amount of damage every single time is Grabominable. Everything else can be played around. Whether they're limiting their bench size, the amount of energies in the discard pile, the amount of energies attached to all their Pokemon, the amount of Pokemon in your discard pile, what attacker they have, all of your damage is always in flux. The only thing that's consistent is that 80 damage. So, extra damage modifiers. And then EXP share, because there's a lot of attackers in your deck that attack for DCE, so having EXP share kind of alleviates that need if you're doing manual attachments with fighting energies. So, that's why you play EXP share. You're looking at your standard 4 Elite 4s plus Dowsing Machine, best A spec in this format, and then there's no reason not to play any of those Elite 4. And then your energy line is going to be a little bit wonky just because, like I said, it is DCE reliant. So you're going to play the DCE reliant cards here. You could play Scramble Energy as well. It's something to consider. But this seems to be perfectly enough. This is such an MVP card. Hopefully they don't have Lost Remover in their deck because this is really going to hurt you. Most of your stuff isn't EX. The only thing that can't use this is Zoroark, but everything else can use Double Rainbow just fine. And then you also have Boost and Upper as just kind of extra DCE stuff for different situations. And then for basic energies, we are going to be playing 9 fighting energies. It's more than enough. You play fighting because the only thing that requires a certain type is Grabominable. Everything else you can either use DCE for or just any colorless attack. So fighting is why. So that does it for Stage 1. There's a lot of Pokemon in here, but it's a lot of fun. It's a very toolboxy deck. If you like decks that have a lot of different options in terms of attackers and toolbox sort of things, this is definitely the deck for you. It can just do a lot of cute stuff, and your opponent just will have to keep guessing on what's coming. They never really know what's going to be in your deck, and at any point you can do some prize stuff. There are other Stage 1s. If you know of any Stage 1s that we missed, please let us know. We'll get them in the list. We'll figure out if they're better than these 8 that we talked about. But outside of that, yeah, that's Stage 1. Hope you guys had fun, and we'll see you next video.